What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video is going to be on the Abyss Perfectum 4th Stratum Part 6, which is the Lufenia fight. Now before we do start, like always, like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it does help the channel and I would really appreciate it. Now without further ado, let's start this video. So this video, we are going to start this off as always with how to deal with the Lufenia Orb, which starts at 100% of the boss's HP and will disappear when they hit less than 80% and will reappear when they hit less than 50%. You can get 7 extra Lufenia Orb counters when the target is hit by a Water Brave damage. Characters that can fulfill this role is Mog, Faris, Rydia, and Garnet. Now currently at the time of the making of this video, Mog is probably the most viable character to fulfill this role. In a few weeks, Faris will be getting her LD and she will be viable here as well. As for the others, it's really hard for me to really suggest them, but there's really not much of a choice in terms of Water Brave damage. There's not a lot of characters that fulfill this role, so good luck. Alright, now let's talk about how the fight works. First of all, you can't cheese this fight just like the story quests, unfortunately. So the boss likes to use AoE HP attacks, and there will be a prompt saying when the air gets cold, it will basically use Northern Cross. This will freeze your entire party until it takes another turn. Now it won't always use Northern Cross straight away if it's already, kind of locked into its move and you move past that HP threshold, but just keep in mind that it will use it eventually. Now this applies the boss actually applies quite a lot of debuffs as well, including an HP poison and a turn delay debuff that takes effect once your turn ends. So basically your turn ends. If you remember the slug boss from Amidst Lions Lost Chapter, it kind of works like that. The boss is also immune to knockback and can't be delayed, even with the break delay, which is pretty rough since you can't even get an extra turn every now and again if you do break the boss. One other thing is this fight does need a specific characters in your party in order for you to actually go into the fight. First of all, you need a Black Crystal character as well as one spear using character. Okay guys, now let's move on how you're gonna deal with this fight. Okay, so the biggest thing here is actually using HP silence. Once the air gets cold, basically when you see that prompt text, you need to use your HP silence, because this will mean they won't be able to actually they will pretty much be stuck in that loop every single time. If you can paralyze them, HP silence and confuse, those are the debuffs you want to apply. It's not on the recast ability, because the recast ability, even if you have them with like a HP silence, I do believe they can remove that debuff. Confuse they can't, and I believe paralyze they can't. So the boss can't remove that, but HP silence is a debuff that they can remove on their recast ability. But if they're trying to use Northern Cross all the time, basically the recast bar won't be full. It will be stuck on that particular I guess bar or percentage, so you can keep using your HP silence on those. The other things are obviously you need to heal, because they will it will use a AoE Brave plus HP attack at the start of the turn, and will probably use another HP attack on the second turn. Basically it will have 2 turns at the start of the fight, so you need to heal through that and remove the debuffs, especially the HP poison and turn manipulation. It's gonna help you. Now this is actually a pretty hard thing to do because the boss cannot be delayed. They cannot be delayed even when you break them, but there are certain ways to manipulate your turns, like maybe using Onion Knight as your call. Maybe if you need that extra turn, you can use the Onion Knight call, or actually use him depending on what party composition you want. But things like that are going to be pretty helpful. Alright guys, now let's talk about characters that you can bring. Now, Mog, Paladin Cecil, Kefka, Theodore, Terra, Eldnarshe, Squall, and Arden are some of the ones that I would recommend. Now, unfortunately, again, currently only Mog is actually the best spear user and can also meet that Lufenia orb counter. So that means if you have Mog, use Mog because he basically fulfills two things in one, right? Ferris can be used later down the track for the Lufenia orb. I already mentioned this. As for the spear user though, I think 9 will be refeatured later down the track. You can also try Kain, but I think I'm leaning more towards Kimahri, since Kimahri can actually apply debuff that can blind the enemy, and that means you won't get hit. So at least by Northern Cross. For the recast ability though, I think it will get removed as far as I'm aware. I don't have Kimahri build up, so I can't really use Kimahri. So that's I guess just another way to deal with the fight if you don't have Mog or don't plan using Mog at all. There is a team composition that I will mention later regarding a team without Mog at all. But in any case, let's talk about cult characters that you might want to bring. Of course, Jack is still the priority here. Onion Knight, Hope, Amiditalion, Machina is okay, but I think I would really prefer like a Bronth or Mog or Rydia. Mog is, I mean, if you don't really want to use Mog in your main team, you can put Mog in your cult team, but if that's the case, you might as well just use Mog in your main team if you haven't built up. That's just my personal preference, so you don't have to follow that. But as for team compositions, the first one is the video you guys are seeing right now, which consists of Kefka, Mog, and Paladin Cecil. Call team, Jack and Onion Knight, no support here, and Ramuh for the summon. So to explain this really quickly, Kefka is my HP silencer, and that's how I plan to cheese this fight. I did use a different team at the start, which consists of Theodore, Paladin Cecil, and Mog. I actually completed the fight, however, I didn't meet the score requirement, so that was really annoying for me. But that is another team that you can use. I think if I was a little bit more aggressive, I would have managed to actually get the score requirement, but unfortunately it did not happen, so I decided to cheese the fight after that. Now the second team is going to be another cheese team, which this time is going to be on Eldnarshe, Mog, Terra, call team, Jack, Paladin Cecil, and Squall, no support again, and Odin for the summon. Basically this is going to take advantage of the terror debuff, so it's still the same strategy. When you see the air gets cold, that's when you actually start applying the terror debuff so you don't get attacked. It's not on the recast ability. You have to remember that it is a different AoE Brave plus HP attack. And finally, the last team is going to consist of the no Mog team, which consists of Terra, Aranea, and Kefka. The call team is Hope and Rydia, and no support again. Now the important part of this is going to be the Leviathan summon, because this is going to be how you're gonna do some water brave damage, because Rydia, I mean, it's just one call and that's it. So you're prolonging that turn counter for a little bit, but Leviathan is something that you will have to use in order to get some of some more extra turns. This is a very tight team composition, a very tight timing and stuff like that, and this is by a guy named Emanuele Zamparelli. I found his post in one of the Dissidia in Facebook, on one of the pages, and I was really surprised that this works. So kudos to Emanuele for actually managing to go through this abyss without Mog at all. When I was looking at this, I was like, I was looking at this fight, I was like, oh man, you really need Mog for this particular fight. They're actually trying to force pull you know, to pulling Mog. So kudos to Emanuele for actually dealing with this fight without Mog at all. Alright guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I guess my final thoughts on this fight are, number one, it's a very tight fight. It's a very restrictive fight, I should say. You know, you have to have like a Black Crystal, you have to have a Spear user, and then you have to have a Water Brave damage dealing character, or I guess use Leviathan as your summon. It's a very restricted fight, I have to say, and if you can't beat this fight currently, then don't worry about it. You can skip this. This is a permanent content and you can just come back. You'll miss out on a few tickets, but that's pretty much it. It's not a big deal. So, you know, come back maybe. If you didn't pull for Mog, come back maybe when you get Ferris's LD. If you have you know, Garland's burst, he deals a ton of damage, so stuff like that. I mean, Terra's damage is actually pretty amazing as well, so you can go ahead and use Terra if you have her burst. So yeah, the no-Mog team, you know, you need like a perfect passives and stuff like that. Just, you know, you're squeezing out every single thing. I don't know if you actually need the perfect passives, but you know, every little bit counts, and I'm pretty sure that you need all the high guard armors for your 3 characters, for Terra, Kefka, and Aranea, because you want to get past that damage threshold all the time. So yeah, a very restricted fight. I would say this is actually a pretty difficult fight if you don't have Mog. Luckily, I actually pulled for Mog with just tickets. I wasn't really planning to, you know, go all out on Mog because I personally wanted Terra's burst more, but that didn't happen. Obviously, I got his weapons before I got Terra's burst, so I may have to skip on Terra's burst for now. But yeah, very restrictive. Anyway, I think that's it for this video, guys. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I would really appreciate it if you share this video as well to a friend who's struggling in this fight. Leave down in the comments below what your teams are and what your strategy was. I would like to know if there's more team compositions without Mog, or I guess, you know, team compositions with Kimahri or Kayn or Iridia or whatever. Let me know down in the comments below. Yeah, and follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next level.